is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Ryan Chats With podcast. Love getting to chat with just some amazing individuals from all over that are doing incredible things. And I have the great honor to chat with LeAnn. She is representing Michigan on American Song Contest there on NBC. I actually host another podcast, the American Song Podcast, where we recap all the latest episodes of the show. And she has been quite the front runner in the last couple of weeks in the competition. So delighted to get the chance to chat with her. LeAnn, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So great to chat with you. You know, you have had quite the incredibly epic journey over the last couple of weeks on this show. Take us through, how the journey has been so far on the show American Song Contest, and really just kind of how it's like outpoured into everything, outside of the competition, really like social media, streaming, and just your music career so far.
Dude, this competition has been awesome. I was a little nervous going in that it was going to be really hectic and very overwhelming, but Ev has worked with me throughout this as far as producers, people who are just getting us lunch, like all the other contestants have been so nice and so amazing. So yeah, it really has been an awesome experience. And as far as like how it's done with my outside stuff from the competition, dude, streams have gone up on all of my songs, which has been amazing. I've seen so much support, not only from like my hometown, but just so many messages have come through about Natalie. And yeah, it's been incredible for exposure for sure.
Absolutely. I was going to say, and Natalie, the song, I got to know, the story behind the song. I feel like anytime anyone is a songwriter, they're working through that whole process of writing their song and telling a story through it. And obviously this song is such a great story in itself, and it has that attachment that I know you've talked about it on the show before. Having a name song is always kind of a special vibe, and it always brings a different kind of energy as well. What inspired you to kind of write that song, and take us through the story of writing this song?
So yeah, for sure. Like the first time when I really started working on Natalie, again, it was kind of the name song thing that I wanted to lean into. And I mentioned songs like Heather by Conan Gray and Olivia by One Direction, Dear John, Taylor Swift. So I was just looking at all these different songs, and I was like, these all have like this super cool, intimate feel. They feel very specific and very story-like. So I really wanted to lean into that and write something like that. And so the first name came to my head was Natalie. Whatever reason, a lot of things. So I was like, let's do it. And I just kind of started writing it at my piano. I wrote it in an hour or so, and just the bones of it for sure. And it was all real feelings, all real emotions, for sure, coming from a real place, but just with a different name, obviously. And I took it to my producer, and he was like, this is super sick. Let's work on it. And we did a little Zoom write for another hour or so. And we kind of really, what's the word I'm looking for? We solidified it. So we kind of like brought it all together, and we figured out all the spots we needed to tweak. And it came out super duper cool. And then a couple weeks later, I went and produced it. And Natalie is just this song to the next girl and the next girl and the next girl in a relationship. It's kind of a warning of like, don't date this guy. He's not a good guy for you. He's a player. And it's like, never be Natalie. You're never going to be Natalie. And it's not your fault that you're never going to be the next girl. He's just not a good guy. So, yeah.
Yeah. And what I love so much too, it makes it so special, is it's almost kind of like a breeding between the two songs of like Picture to Burn by Taylor Swift and Driver's License by Olivia Rodrigo, where it has that raw emotion and like, the like ingredients of a heartbreak song, but also the ingredients of like a, to heck with him kind of, track as well. Was that kind of like the inspiration, like, breakup record versus broken heart record, mash the two together?
Well, yeah, it was kind of weird because like you're saying, some of the lyrics do feel come from a more sad place, and they're like, oh, like, I'm so sad I could never be Natalie, but also it's like, we don't need him anyway, girl. Like, move on, get out, move on. So yeah, I thought that the record was pretty unique in that sense, where I haven't really heard too many songs that come from that perspective, nor kind of, like you're saying, kind of emerges both of them together. So that's why I was surprised. A lot of people were kind of saying it's a song we've all heard before. And I was like, I thought it came from a pretty unique perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, it really is a unique song. It blends together a lot of different themes that I think that a lot of successful songs have had. And so it's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, hey, like that's a, recipe for success right there, is mashing together a bunch of different emotions, a bunch of different, energies. But what really inspired you in the very beginning to get into songwriting? I know that a lot of people have their artists or their people in their lives that have inspired them to get into music overall, but what kind of drew you to writing music?
I think that obviously when I was younger, going into like middle school and even a little bit in elementary, I always wrote a lot of poetry. And so I would just write stuff in my notebook, or I would just like kind of journal, or kind of like diary vibes. And I would do that a lot. I never really thought of putting it to music until, I actually started listening to music in a mature perspective. And I found that when I was listening to music, I could really connect with it. And it really made me feel something. And I kind of gravitated more towards emotional songs and more towards sad songs for a long time, just because there was like a sense of solace or understanding within some of this music. And I was just like, this person in this song is laying out all of my feelings right now, and they totally understand what I'm going through. And so I guess music for a long time became validation for me. And it sounds like kind of corny, but like a friend in a way, of just someone gets me and someone understands what I'm going through and where I'm coming from. And I kind of wanted to recreate that and put music into the world that other people could share that feeling with.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And, your career is taking off in a time where social media and music and songwriting really are kind of going hand in hand. Like,
Yes.
the age of, writing a song via TikTok is kind of where we're at right now. And so you're kind of, blowing up at a time where that is where songwriting is kind of residing in over social media. What have been the benefits and maybe the challenges of kind of jumpstarting your career in a time where social media kind of drives an artist now?
Pros are obviously the fact that you don't have to be touring around the world for people to hear your music. For me, for sure, being able to just put whatever songs I want out on platforms, and then my fan base to come to me rather than me having to go to them, has been super awesome. I don't even know, like, it's crazy how people will just gravitate towards you and find your music, and they're like, oh, I love it. And you're like, that's awesome. Like, they just find you and someone will like it somewhere. So that's been super duper cool. But I think a con of like being in social media right now is just kind of like, you're really open and vulnerable to hate and a lot of people coming your way that you don't even know. And it's hard because as a small artist on this show, I've kind of wanted to continually check all of my socials and be like, what's everyone talking about? And, it's supposed to be like a fun, exciting thing. Whereas like sometimes you scroll a little too far and you find maybe some not so nice people on the internet. And so that's kind of been hard going into this competition, especially because I've never been given a platform like this. And I've never had like real diehard haters before, but like since I've gone in this competition, there's some harsh people out there. So it's something that you kind of have to cope with and not take too seriously. But yeah, that's definitely a con for sure.
Yeah. Whenever you kind of get into the mode where when you're in songwriting mode, do you kind of feel like you kind of have to unplug a little bit? Like, take everything off as far as social media is concerned, block the notifications, put the phone away. Like, do you have to kind of find that like Zen spot whenever you're in songwriting mode?
I mean, for sure, I'm not checking my phone a lot when I'm writing a song. I'm pretty focused a lot. something that I do is I pretty much voice memo every single thing that I write. So I've probably got like
Nice.
5,000 voice memos on my phone. And so like the entire time I'm in a session or I'm sitting down to write, I'll just have it recording. And so I can't really do much else on my phone or else it'll stop it from recording. And so yeah, I don't know. I kind of just get into the zone by myself. I don't really need to unplug or anything. I'm very focused on writing the song, and sometimes I'll go on my phone to like get some inspo. If I'm really blocked, this is the weirdest thing ever. I go to like sad TikToks and I go through the comments of what all these sad people are saying, and I'm like, that's a good lyric. And I do this. I swear I do this.
You probably have the darkest For You page on your TikTok app.
There's some sad stuff that comes to my For You page, dude. Like, people are sad on TikTok.
Yeah, but I mean, you get into that and you're like, all right, this is music inspiration. I'm now going to write a song based on the last like 6 TikToks that I've seen. Maybe that's a new challenge.
Dude, we should make it one.
There you go. That'll be like one of the next things. Maybe like your next package for on the show is going to be whenever you're going through and you're just like, I'm going to write a song solely based off of sad TikToks.
Dude, that would be incredible. They would probably love it. I should pitch that to the producers.
I think it's a fantastic idea. But back to the show, by the way, you know, you obviously are working with so many different people, producers, directors, Snoop Dogg and Kelly Clarkson, for crying out loud. And then obviously all of the contestants. Who have you kind of been like bonding with for the most, over the course of the competition?
Surprisingly, because our music is so different. Everyone's music is pretty different from each other. There's not too many alike acts on the show, which has been really cool too, to see some diversity there. Mm-hmm. But I really bonded with everyone on my qualifiers episode. You know, one of the girls in Sweet Taboo, her name's Bree. She has become like, we are so close, and she's so nice to me, and she's been really good to my family too. And I really bonded with Josh Panda and Jason J from Guam. Nico's been really sweet. Stella Cole has been awesome. Same with Chloe Fredericks. I pretty much everybody, but I would say Sweet Taboo the most. For sure.
They definitely seem like the group that like you could really click and be best friends with, like all of us. Like, I feel like when I watch them perform, I'm like, okay, like these could make great buddies that like if I flew out to California, I could just hang out with them and have a crazy awesome day.
Yes, they're so nice. Seriously.
That's awesome. So learning about all of the states while you've been in the competition, we obviously see all of the packages where it introduces the artist, tells us about where they reside in, and like kind of all the cool, fun facts about each state. Based on that and how you've connected with all of the contestants, if there was a state you would have to pick based on the competition, like based on who you've clicked with or based on, somebody's video package, who or what state would you move to and why?
Dude, honestly, I feel like personally, just outwardly thinking if I wanted to move, I would want to move obviously to Nashville or LA, just because, those are very cities. I would love to move there. A lot of the contestants on the show actually live there, but they're just from that original state that they're repping.
Yeah.
So I would love to move to either of those states, but judging off of the package, Minnesota looks pretty cool because Yam House, I messed with them. They're one of my favorites off the show. I liked that band before I even went on the show and knew about the show, and they were competing. Once I found out they were competing with me, I literally lost my mind. But yeah, they're a huge group of fun guys, so they look fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like that was the same way, like when I found out like Riker and a couple of those guys were on the show. I remember when like Riker was on Dancing with the Stars and Glee. And so it was like, oh, cool. Look at this. Like, how neat is that? So there are like so many artists that you have that connection to that you're like, wait a minute. Okay, that's kind of dope. But Minnesota, that's a good answer for sure.
When I found out that like Riker and Michael Bolton and all of these like huge people on the show, I was like, I was very intimidated at first because I was like, there's no way I'm going to go through when like people with such a huge fan base are going on. But like, surprisingly, everyone has been like super cool. So
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the question everybody's probably asking you is, what's it like working with Kelly Clarkson and Snoop Dogg?
Well, to be honest, like we don't get to really see them much, unfortunately. Like we get to see them on set and everything when we're filming, but like that's really the only time we get to see them. And then afterwards, we all go do media on the purple carpet, and we see them there. But everyone's busy with interviews, so there's not a lot. But I did get a little hang out with Snoop Dogg on my semifinal episode, and I've talked to Kelly for like a brief second. She said she thinks my song's the shit.
Yes. There we go.
Snoop is actually been so cool.
So now, as far as career-wise, what is a day in the life of LeAnn like?
I mean, with the show, it's been a lot more exciting, but I'm still 17, so I gotta go to school. I probably when I come home at any point I can really. And then I go to Nashville some weeks and we go and we produce stuff down. I'm actually in a lot of interviews, but it's not as exciting as everyone's probably hoping for. I got to make it through school first, and then maybe we can get a little more exciting.
There you go. It's like you've got to get the diploma. You got to get through all of the, that kind of stuff, before you can get through to the whole like, all right, now I'm flying from here to here and all that kind of stuff. But I imagine working through the schedule and being like, okay, like now I got to fly to California on this day. Is it like it's kind of like a pinch me moment for you, right?
A little bit, the flying back and forth is, ooh. I mean, especially I'm back home right now and I have to fly back today. So it's like, man, like I'm only here for a couple days. I just got back in town and it's like, why couldn't they just keep me in California? But yeah, for sure. When it's over, it's already blown by quick. Like once it's over and
mm-hmm. Now, whenever you're traveling and flying back and forth, I got to know, what is your go-to like in-flight snack? Like, what are you grabbing from the little concession area before you get on the plane?
Oh man, I love Smart Food Pop.
Ooh. Yes.
Yes, you like that?
Oh yeah, that's good stuff.
No, yeah, it's super good. I also grab fruit a lot at the airport. They always have fruit.
Okay, I dig it. Do a couple of quick one-off questions, some rapid fire questions, if you may. First one is cat person or dog person?
Cat person.
Love it. Awesome. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No.
Okay, that could divide the votes a little bit. We might cut that from the interview.
No.
If animals could talk, who do you think would be the rudest?
A squirrel, to be honest.
Wow. A squirrel. Okay, I gotcha. Who would you pick as a songwriting partner, Taylor Swift or Olivia Rodrigo, and why?
I would pick Taylor Swift. I think she's been in the game a lot longer. She's been consistently relevant for such a long time. So definitely T Swift.
Gotcha. What's your favorite superhero?
Oh, I don't know much about superheroes, so I'm just gonna go with Wonder Woman.
Okay, I dig it. What's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten before?
Oh, dude. I don't eat a lot of weird things. I'm really, really picky person. But something weird that I do is like, you might be weirded out by this, but like SpaghettiOs, like I eat them cold. Have you ever had SpaghettiOs?
I've had them before. It was like my go-to lunch when I was a kid. Now having them cold, I think I've had them like lukewarm because they'd like sat in the kitchen for way too long, but cold I've never had before. I'd be willing to try that though. That's not too bad.
They're pretty good. I think they're good. I don't like them warm. People thought it was really weird that I did that. And I was like,
well, that's like, I prefer pizza cold, honestly. And finally, question, where can people find your music? I know you're all over on all the different platforms, especially now with the show, but I know you have a ton of great original music out there, especially there on your YouTube channel. So tell us a little bit about where people can find your stuff.
So if you guys want to check me out on Instagram, you can find me at ada.leann. If you guys want to check me out on book, Ada Leann's Music. And if you guys want to listen to original songs that I have out, I've actually released 2 EPs and a recent one that just came out in January. So go check it out. You guys can find that on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube, pretty much wherever you guys listen to music, it should be there. So yeah, check it out.
Awesome. And I love getting to see your TikTok channel, by the way, just because like some of those like spur of the moment, quick one-off songs that you're writing that you're just like, hey, what do you guys think about this real quick? And I'm like, what in the world? She's incredible.
Thank you. Dude, I totally forgot about my TikTok. Yeah, check out my TikTok too, ada.leann.
There we go. Perfect. I made sure that we pitched the TikTok for you. Awesome.
Thank you.
Ada LeAnn, thank you so much, and good luck the rest of the way on the competition. Say hi to Snoop for me, and good luck with the rest of your career too. Like, you are really just on the cusp of just this awesome explosion in your music career.
Thank you so much for having me.